Hello, fabulous Libra. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of September 2015, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It's a big, bold, beautiful month for all of us, a month of change and shifts in energy, a month where the universe is going to work overtime to bring us back into alignment with a kinder, more loving vision for our lives. Now, this is largely thanks to eclipses. We've got two eclipses taking place this month. One in the middle of the month, a solar eclipse, and then another towards the later part of the month, a lunar eclipse. Now that lunar eclipse, I'll talk about a lot more in the love-focused horoscope for this month, because I do think it is going to speak most prominently for you in the context of matters of heart. And I also want to say, just give you, a little bit of a heads up before I dive into this month. Next month is a really important time for you, because next month we're going to have a new moon in your sign, a particularly important, particularly active new moon at that. And so it's important to keep things that are happening now in perspective, because next month you are launching in all kinds of new directions and new understandings of who you are, and planting some brand new seeds. What is happening this month still is important, and you will certainly be feeling change. Part of the reason you'll be feeling change is because your ruling planet Venus will stand still in the sky early in the month and then go direct. So pay attention to what's happening in the early part of the month. It will in some way speak to, hearken back to what was taking place in late June of this year. And so that is a shift of energy for you that will reach right to the heart of you, where literally something in you will feel ready to move forward. You add to this the eclipse that's taking place in the middle of the month. And this eclipse is happening in a very quiet part of your sky. It's happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with energy. It has to do with closure, especially karmic closures, ending karmic ties. It has to do with understanding what has served its purpose so that you can now create space for the new and more wonderful to enter the picture. Also, this is a part of the sky that has to do with what's happening sometimes without you even being aware of it, and what's really happening even on the level of the dream space. So what's happening with you on the level of psyche that you aren't necessarily consciously working with. So there's lots of ways to understand this area of life. You add to this particular eclipse is speaking in harmony with Pluto, and Pluto right now moving through a part of the sky for you that has to do with home base. So all around, big changes are coming about, but I think that they might not be as obvious as they are going to be once we get you into next month. That's when the full realization of the changes taking place now will really start to show once we have that new moon in your sign. So let's take it one at a time in terms of the significance of this solar eclipse. Solar eclipses bring new opportunities, new possibilities, and new perspectives. That's really what it comes down to. It's something, a new information, a new thing coming out of nowhere, seemingly, that actually has been, if you reflect and you think about it, has probably been building for quite a while. So we've got this eclipse happening. To me, this represents you coming to a deeper appreciation of who you no longer want to be, of what it is that you want to now free yourself of. That's a big theme with this particular solar eclipse. That's what solar eclipses really are about. They're about freeing yourself so you can begin again. But there's also this real sense now that you know on some level that you are ready to move in a new direction. What is that going to look like? Who are you going to be in that? And where exactly is it that you desire to begin again? Well, a lot of that information is actually going to come through in the dream space, because that's when our conscious desires and motivations tend to quiet down enough for us to actually listen. Usually language of symbols happens in dreams. Our dreams allow us to see who it is that we want to be and where it is that we most desire to go. So you are going to want to pay attention to what's happening on the dream space. At the very least, It'll allow you to purge, to release some old emotions that might be getting in the way of you fully realizing a new chapter of your life. But here's something else that's happening that I think is so interesting with this eclipse. And this has to do with people working on your behalf, speaking kindly of you. Now, whether you want to think of this as like energetic angels or, guardian beings, whether you want to think of it as actual people, you've already done the work. You've already made the impression. And now it's about these people kind of coming together and doing what they need to do and trusting that people are doing what they need to do so that good things can come about for you in your life. I actually think that some of these people are going to be related to or connected in some way to your family. It might actually be family members, family of origin members. It might actually be people that your family knows or people that you know from your childhood. But it's these connections that go way back that ultimately are the ones that are speaking your praises without you necessarily realizing it. And that is where the possibility of opportunity showing up for you is most likely. So especially as we get into the middle of the month, this isn't very proactive energy. This is quiet energy. This is energy that has to do with faith, whether it's faith that you've done the work, faith in yourself, or faith in something greater than yourself. Regardless, having that faith, knowing that the things that have had to be done have been done, and now it's time for you to do whatever it is that's in front of you to do, and trust that your actions are going to count for something. And they certainly will. I actually think it is going to take us as we move forward into this month, but particularly once we move into next month, that is when things are really going to start to take a more obvious forward momentum. And the good things that are happening now that you're not necessarily aware of are going to kick into full drive once we get you into next month. And this is for a few different reasons. Like I said, we've got that new moon in your sign, very active new moon. Also, the first of 3 conversations between Jupiter and Pluto are going to take place. And I think this is going to really help. These 2 things are going to really help bring to your awareness all the good things that are happening now that you might not necessarily be so aware of. There is one other area where you might be a little bit aware of the opportunities that are taking place here. And that is where it comes to addiction. Okay, so if you are one of those people, if you know, or maybe you haven't admitted it to yourself, and this could really be anything, whatever you consider an addiction. It could actually be to a substance, or it could be a variety of other things. But this can be a time when you start to see that, admit it to yourself, and cultivate the drive to actually do what change requires, which is ultimately to ask for help, to reach out, to hope that others will have compassion, which they certainly will, with just a little bit of willingness on your part to receive it. So that's really part of you understanding what needs to go. So if you know that you have something that you're doing that ultimately needs to leave, if you really are going to step into the fullness of yourself, that will be realized by you as well this month. What I absolutely love about this month for you is that there is change happening, important change, and it may not be so obvious to the people around you. It might not even in some cases be so obvious to you as well, but you are preparing the ground for a bright, new, bold beginning that is coming up very soon, just a little bit further down the road.